So yeah, this might be a podcast, a post, a reels, and all of it at one time. What in the bejesus is this? Okay, how the rich and the poor use the internet differently. Oh, y'all gonna be offended in a minute. You're gonna be offended. This is brought to us by MSN News. So no, you didn't hear from me, but you will hear my commentary in a minute. Let's read along, shall we? The more you use the internet, the more it learns about you. We use the internet to seek information about all sorts of things, but what you may not know is that the internet, is that the more you use the internet, the more data is, not can be, it says can be, but it is collected, and the more algorithms learn about you. This is nasty. Okay, the study, a new study published by the Journal of the Royal Society of Interface. Who is that? A monthly peer-reviewed scientific publication by the Royal Society shows that your internet consumption can even reveal your socio-economic status more than you ever suspected. Say that 10 times fast. So let's pause for a minute. All of us know those people. They used to be older people, but now, they're getting a little younger, where folks are not interested with what's going on online because it's so much drama. There's people going back and forth, people fighting. There's still people to this day that fight. They snitch on themselves with crimes that they're committing in front of a camera on social media, right? This is what has been happening and what is continuing to happen right now. But a lot of people have written off the fact that people go online for different reasons. And if you thought that people who just pop up in your timeline and are talking about what you're talking about is all there is to it, ladies and gentlemen, it is not. And I have always been a strong defender of, see, you can't judge us because we go on Facebook and you don't see us. We laid on cut in Facebook because guess what? We in the back office and business manager conducting business. Hmm. Next slide. So the researchers use the data of 3.7 billion mobile traffic records collected in France by the telecom company Orange. The study gathered together data between May and June of 2017 and contrasted it with socioeconomic census data gathered between 2014 and 2015. Now look at this, because this is my thing. It says Netflix, Spotify, and news websites. Listen up. The study reveals that regarding or reading the news using streaming services such as Netflix or Spotify, responding to emails or chatting over WhatsApp is something more common among people who live in wealthier neighborhoods. Mm, the defense rests. Facebook, YouTube, and Snapchat. In contrast, using social media on these platforms, um, or Lord have mercy, or looking for adult images, y'all nasty, or videos online is done far more by people with less financial means. You're telling on yourself. You're snitching on yourself. Don't get upset with me if you get stitches because you snitches on yourself. We told you it's not a game, it's a business. Some apps are more common in certain socioeconomic groups. And it doesn't mean that there aren't any rich people that are watching YouTube or poor people don't use WhatsApp. It only means that some apps are far more prevalent in certain groups than others. And you need to pay attention to that. So, listen to this. Not all apps reveal themselves. Not all apps reveals that much about their users. And this study shows that Instagram and Twitter, for instance, have a very broad appeal that attracts more or less equal numbers of people of all backgrounds. It seems like everyone likes to share their thoughts and their selfies. I don't agree with that. I don't buy it. You want to know why? Because Facebook owns Instagram. And if you think by any stretch of the imagination that Instagram has total autonomy, you're delusional. Okay, get a grip. If you're on Instagram, you're on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, you're on Instagram. You might be in different sectors or in different divisions of the department, but by the same token, you're on the same platform, boo boo. Don't get it twisted and don't get it messed up because the dollars are in the data and we can prove it. If you've seen sponsorships or ads in your Instagram feed, where do you think they're coming from? They're not coming from Instagram. They're coming from Facebook. Oh, same family. Knock it off. Don't play. Whoever wrote this, do your research, boo boo. Daily Digest, get it together. Education is a key factor. Education is a key factor in determining which activities people from different economic groups do most often online. People who have a higher level of education tend to read more news, and people with a lesser education tend to use social media more often. Hmm. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I can't totally disagree with that. Let's move to the next slide. Wealth, education, and inequality. The digital usage gap is so profound between low and high income or low or high education areas that it can be used to clearly distinguish between them or even identify the relative composition of these groups in any given area, the study states. Now, this is where the language is starting to change for me because right now, what it feels like. I can't talk to you about what's in black and white, but what it feels like and the undertow that this is taking at this point is that based on this information, you can actually begin to start justifying discrimination among people because they don't have digital devices and they don't use them in the same way as others do. I feel that let's read it again. The digital usage gap is so profound between low and high income or low or high education areas that it can be used to clearly distinguish between them or even identify the relative composition of these groups in any given area, the study states. All right, so I'll leave you with this comment if you really want your mind blown. The richest person in the world is not Jeff Bezos. I know that's what it says on paper. Have you been to the Medellin? Do you know where the Colombians are? They're not the richest people on the planet. So all of this data and this information, as long as we think that we know what we really don't know, you still you can capture all the information that you want, but it's not telling you the whole story. That's where I'm getting at. Jeff Bezos, congratulations. You are not the richest man on earth. The problem is you'll never see who the richest men and women now on earth are. So don't be fooled by these little data impressions because that's not all there is. But wait, there's more. Correlation does not imply causation. However, correlation does not imply causation and other questions or another question arises. Do people become wealthy thanks to education or become educated because they can afford it? Oh, wow. That's a good question. That's a whole nother show. That's a whole nother show. Because if you're looking at this question like the diamond that I see that it is, meaning that there are hundreds of other questions that can come out of it, you'll see and understand that people can become wealthy without education in its institutional sense. Meaning, historically black colleges, we do what we do because we went to historically black colleges. But let me tell you, college does not make you smart. Oh my God. Education doesn't, Howard didn't make you smart, boo boo. You put in the work. They supplied the support. They provided the histrionics. They supplied the spirit, right? But you did the work. Understand that. Take hold of that. Can you replicate that? Absolutely. Does that mean that somebody who didn't get that same set of spirit and support and perseverance and a push to persevere, you mean to tell me you can't find that anywhere else? I beg to differ. You can find it on the streets. And there are some people that if you push them against a wall, they will be some of the most diverse, most ingenious, most innovative people and resourceful. That you got to put that word in there. The most resourceful people on earth come from the street. You don't believe that? Look at these first generation billionaires and look at where they came from. They didn't come from silver spoons in their mouth. So education is it's a trigger. Education in its rarest form or in its puffed up form is good. We're not knocking it down. Everyone needs to hold on to something. Everyone has the need to belong to something, whether it's, college, whether it's, a fraternity or sorority. Everybody need to fit in at some point. But just because you fit in doesn't mean that you can blend out as easily. You have to have that mentality that you're going to make it anyhow. So if you have that spirit that we're going to get this money, we're going to get this business, we're going to get this going for us, and you never relent on that. You can have those things without a formal education, but education exists everywhere if you're paying attention. And the only reason why it's formalized is because a lot of people just don't pay attention. Ooh, next slide. Fighting inequality. The researchers wanted to prove that there is a gap between wealth and education and internet usage. They feel that they have succeeded. Now they hope that these results will help fight inequality. No, that's not what they're doing it for. They're trying to control a situation or trying to present a case in which they can control a situation that is completely uncontrollable by them. The folks who are wealthy, the folks who are educated, the folks who use internet, the only way that you're going to fight inequality is by humbling yourself and getting yourself to a point where you know that because you have been gifted, granted, anointed with wealth and education and internet, that it is your obligation. I'm going to say it again, oblongata, as in the brain, as in the peripheral part of the brain. It is your obligation to help those that don't have what you have and to be that bridge. That wealth is a bridge. That education is a bridge. That internet usage is a bridge. If you have it, I love the way my girl said it. Ozzie Davis's wife, Ruby D. She said, "Listen, I'm gonna make it plain to you. If I eat while my neighbors are starving, that food in my mouth becomes poison." She said this on the New York City Council floor, and she was not playing. And they read that very same poem at her funeral because she wasn't just about being an actress. She wasn't just about being seen. She understood very well where she came from, did not determine where she would wind up. And oh, yeah, by the way, because I've made it and people made the way for me, it is my obligation to make a way for somebody else. Whether they receive it or not, it's not my business. It's not my concern. So don't you talk to me about inequality until you've made it known that you have been a bridge over somebody else's troubled water. Don't you play with me. All right. This is a different kind of show. The gap. We have found a huge gap. The study co-author at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, that's MIT, their researcher Esteban Moro commented to El País. Our study makes way for the creation of indicators that allow us to study this gap and its can I say it? English is my first language, right? Evolution. There's always going to be this gap. You can get biblical with it. The master said, that they will always be among us. Who? The poor. The problem is not crime. Crime is not the problem. Violence is not the problem. Inequality is not the problem. Hatred is not the problem. Poverty is the problem. And if you hit at poverty, if there's any chink in the chain when it comes to poverty, they start killing people. I can prove it. Malcolm X. I can prove it. Martin Luther King. I can prove it. Any single time, every time you start talking about poverty, people get killed. Because if you see what the real problem is, if you give everyone the opportunity, and of course everyone's not going to take it, but if you give everyone an equal opportunity without having to pass laws that they have to be equal opportunity in the first place. I mean, if you genuinely give out equal opportunity, you will understand and see forever that you have people who could never matriculate through the greatest corridors of education, how they can run circles around your magna cum laude. There will always be poverty. There'll always be people who are poor so that the rich can be embarrassed and humiliated into doing the right thing. Why do people get cringe? Or why do people cringe when they hear, it's time for the wealthy to pay their just due? It's time for the wealthy to start. When we start taxing the rich, why do the wealthy get an attitude? Because there are codifications in the law that allow them to escape what they know morally they should be doing. But because the law says that they can escape paying taxes, they just escape paying taxes and forget about those who can't even pay taxes because there's nothing to file. Oh, you want to talk about it? Let's talk about it. So that's really what it is. There's always going to be this gap because there are always going to be people who are lesser fortunate, and then there's always these others that are in the marketplace and they're making billions of dollars, millions of dollars a day, and they never look back. And my hope is that these first generation people who have just made these billions, like Zuckerberg and them, I don't know about what's the guy's name? What's the guy's name? What's the guy's name? Not Jobs, he gone. Um, Bill Gates. I don't know about all of them. I don't know about all of them. But what I do know is that, if you're a first generation billionaire, yeah, that's cute. Can a second generation do it? Yeah, they'll probably grow it because that's what Axe said, right? The first generation gets it, the second generation grows it, the third generation blows it. So come back to me in 30 years from now and see whether that we'll see if the beehive is still a beehive when them cheering gotta run through it. And not even their children, but their children. Don't talk to me about first generation anything because that can dissipate in a minute. I can prove it. James Brown, where the kids at? They're still fighting over an estate worth millions of dollars. Stop it. So the gap is always going to be there. And you might have it now, but generations from now, they don't have it. And the sad part about it is that, the sad part about it is that we have people who live this life and they don't care about any other generation except theirs. They don't even care about their own family members. What makes you think they care about the next generation? Oh God, I didn't mean to go off this far, but somebody pick up what I'm feeling. So knowing too much, although the team behind the study published the Royal Society or published by the Royal Society may have notable intentions, sometimes this information is useful for less altruistic goals. Of course it is. You're doing this. What's the real reason? And this is why I love this group because we are creative thinkers, but we're also people who think as there is no box, not like because there is no box. The only box that you should put yourself into is one that allows you to think outside of the box. right? So the real question is, what are you doing this research for? What are you doing this data for? Oh, you're trying to make it look cute and nice so that you can put it in an article. But what's the real reason behind why you're doing what you're doing? And that's why it's important for you to be objective when you're reading things like this so that you can start and spur a conversation that's worth having amongst peers. Data scandal. So this is what happened to Cambridge Analytica, a British consulting firm that was using Facebook user data to create political advertisements for their campaign. That's what Instagram, not Instagram, Facebook was for. If you're using it correctly, you're using it to build campaigns that are next level or pre artificial intelligence level advertising that hit you at your core, because you've given it the information and the incentive to do so. And everybody, I don't care who you are, when you sign on to Facebook, they told you they was taking their information. They told you they were taking your information. So why are you sitting here acting like it's something new because you got a crazy president? Well, we had a crazy president. So what? They've been doing it for years before that. And now, because you had the Orangina in office, now it's a thing. See, but you wouldn't know this. No, get this off my screen. I said what I said, right? So manufacturing consent. The only thing that Cambridge Analytica did was tailor make advertisements aimed at less educated and less politically motivated in people for people on social media. Feeling ignored by the mainstream society, this target audience was eager to vote for what they felt spoke to me. You know what? Spoke to them. No, that wasn't no 40 and slip because they didn't speak to me because I am highly educated, I am highly anointed, and I know who I am and what I am. Listen, and it doesn't care to me it doesn't bother me one iota whether people pay attention to me or not. What I'm saying is people believe what they want to believe. My father has this statement, and this is his answer for everything. People do what they want to do. Period. Full stop. It doesn't matter whether no one hears you. What kind of brat are you? We are raising a generation of kids that can't take nothing. They hurt my feelings. Are you serious right now? You're crying because somebody took your crayons instead of cracking them on their toes? I don't get it. So you're going to tell me people felt as if they weren't listening? No, that's the narrative that was created. You don't care about people who don't care about you, because if you cared about people not caring about you, why is the first step when you get the microphone to behave like you don't care about anybody? That's not normal. That's psychotic behavior, ma'am, sir. So again, you have to read through the lines, you have to read through what's being reported, and you have to understand forever. People do what they want to do. Save the unsaved. That's a whole nother show. Next slide. Improvement, not division. Thank you, Lord. See, the Lord always shows up. Let's hope that data studies like this one, published by the Royal Society, can help society to improve instead of dividing it even more. This is after they stir up all of this in the hornet without realizing that the queen is home. And I'm here to just let you know, as the queen that I am, hey, that you need to use the data for your drive, right? All this information that you're getting, you need to use that information the way the rich people use it. For rich people, I like the way the little girl from what is it, Raising Canaan said, for white people money. Because they pay extra for everything because they want to, you know. And I'm not being racist. It's just a funny thing that a little kid said, and I found it interesting. Don't write me no letters. What I'm saying is that data is, was, and will always be the number one form of getting paid of any industry. Do you understand? Like, let's go down a rabbit hole for a minute. Amazon.com. Amazon don't make no money because you want a pair of tchotchkes. They make money because you want your tchotchkes same day or next day delivery. You want to know what Amazon sells? They sell satisfaction with speed and animalistic like precision. Do you hear what I'm saying? Amazon has manufactured and is giving us the blueprint that if you're paying attention, all of us should be paying attention to. And what is that? The dollars are in the data. And if you don't use the data that's there, that's not free, or yeah, it is free, but it really ain't free because you've given up your civil liberties. You've given them your name. You've given them where you are. You've given them where you go. And these silly people online that tell people that they're in the Bahamas somewhere. And oh yeah, the house is open. Use the data for what it's meant for. And that's for you to capitalize on and to use. And just like Jeff Bezos and his crowd and his squad and his squadron do, well, he's since left the helm, but he built something that can last longer than he does in that space. Use the data. It doesn't matter whether you're rich. It doesn't matter whether you're poor. It doesn't matter whether you're wealthy. It doesn't matter whether you're educated. All it matters is that you're able to see, look at the signs, determine what you can take from what you're being put in front of you, which is the data, and create something new that's in line with something that you love to do. If your business is not data driven, what are you doing? What are we doing? That's the end of the show. That's all I have to say. We read this nice little article. We're going to put it all over for everyone to see. But I want you to be able to look at this title, and I want you to be offended by it. I want you to be highly offended by it. Because again, like I said, in the middle of this presentation, Jeff Bezos is not the richest man on earth. If you want to see who the richest people are, look at the man from Mexico. This is not racist because he is from Mexico. Look at the man from Mexico, El Chapo. Don't y'all come for me, but y'all are in Brooklyn, so um, come on. We don't even know where his money is, and he's yes, is he a drug dealer? Absolutely. Is he a drug dealer? No, he's a distributor. See, pay attention. Not a dealer, a distributor. Don't play games. Pay attention. Don't get upset. Don't get angry because you can learn a lot from a mafia. You can learn a lot from organized crime. You can learn a lot. We're transformers. I don't have a problem with saying that. I'm saved, filled with the Holy Ghost. Yes, I am. But you got to pay attention to the signs and the wonders. And I'm just determined for us to know that I'm determined for all of us to realize if the mafia can do it, where do you think they got that organization from? It wasn't built in death and blood and slumber. It was built by people who did it before. There are many organizations that have nothing to do with crime that are incredible companies. Incredible. Look at Mary Kay. Mary Kay is ridiculous. How is it that you get 100% of selling somebody else's stuff? Who does that? Is it an MLM? Listen, I've seen more pink Cadillacs in my whole life by people in my community than anybody else. So something must be right. And this is not a fly by night operation. They've been doing this since before I was even born. So do what you do. If you bolt that Mary Kay situation onto data, that's why you're seeing so many pink Cadillacs rolling down the street. There'll be Range Rovers next. Watch. So don't be offended by this rich poor situation, because the rich can be poor in a second and the poor can be rich in a second. And the only difference between or twixt the two is that one is paying attention and one is not. That's it. Have a great day, and I will see you on the other side.